This is episode number 446 of the Health and Fitness Podcast, brought to you by InnerFight in association with Smith Street Paleo, delivering all your paleo goodness. That should actually be the slogan of that company. I'm not sure why it's not. But if you do need to be on a meal plan, you live in the United Arab Emirates, give us a shout. Hello at smithstreetpaleo.com. They'll be happy to hook you up. They're our show sponsors. Actually still giving away, if folks want to rate and review the podcast, you definitely should if you've been listening for a long time. Or if it's your first time to listen, please hop over, rate and review the podcast in iTunes, and we will send you a Smith Street Paleo goodie bag. My partner in crime, co-host, is not here. He's on holiday again. So don't worry, you don't have to listen to me on my own the whole day. I'm joined by our endurance coach, our second endurance coach, Tom Walker.
Hello.
Hello, welcome back.
Good to be back.
Mate, this is nonsense. This is you on. If those of you haven't met Tom yet, you obviously haven't been loyal enough to the podcast, or you're a new listener. Episode number 440, where we heard all about Tom's background. Now he's back to talk the real business, mate.
Business end, yeah.
Business end.
Business
First
end.
2 months in Dubai, acclimatization is
Easy.
easy. Feeling the heat?
Yeah.
Yeah?
You've just got to be smart, haven't you?
What?
Sort of.
Good way to put it, mate. What have you done smart to make your training work since you've been here? Talk us through that first, because I think that's something that a lot of people will benefit from.
Well, first of all, you change your wake-up time to 4:30, 5 a.m. every morning.
How's the adjustment to that been?
It takes a couple of weeks, but
Yeah.
fine, really. I think kicking off things with the 50-50-50 challenge helped. Knocked my sleep out completely, and I sort of rebuilt it back from that.
One night up for basically, what were we up? Well, 24 hours?
Yeah, it was pretty much.
Yeah.
And then just smart things, mate, like having an ice, like a bottle of ice basically ready to go for on the bike.
Yeah.
So you're pre-cooled. That definitely helps. The morning runs, like, just my coach was like, tried to coach me with heart rate to begin with, and it was like, yeah, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, especially at the moment, you can't really hit those heart rate zones, can you?
Yeah.
So what do you look at then, mate? Like, we've spoken a lot about heart rate on the show. Andre and I did quite an extensive show about it a few weeks ago. For those of you that want to go and check that out, definitely go back to the show that we did on heart rate. I have it here if I keep on talking. Tell us, mate.
Yeah.
I'll find that show. Tell us what you do differently then when you're not working on heart rate.
Well, so heart rate is fine to use out here, don't get us wrong, but you've got to use your heart rate zones where you've tested them. So if
Right.
you've tested them in the UK, which obviously that is what I had,
Yeah.
trying to come out here and run on the same zones,
Yeah.
it's not going to work. It's going
Right.
to be different.
So if we were to do a test here currently now, August time, or just coming into August,
Yeah.
and base the zones off that test, is that something that would give us a lot truer reading?
Yeah, it's going to help you working up until it starts to get a bit cooler here. So probably for another few months.
We've got time, mate. We've
got a bit of time. So if you're not using heart rate, then more than likely you're going to be running inside anyway on a treadmill. So
Yeah.
you can get pretty accurate with pace and speed.
Yeah, on that. What's your thoughts, mate, with regards to... So, obviously, we're using things like the easiest thing is a 3K test to set people's threshold, find out what their max heart rate is. What is the difference that you see related to maybe a 3K test that's done outside as opposed to a test that would be done on a treadmill?
I think on a treadmill, when you're running the test, it's easier for you to find your more comfortable pace.
Right.
Like, you're not going to have as much surges. You're going to be just one consistent pace the whole time. So
Yeah.
I actually recommend a 3K test should be done outside.
Outside,
really.
yeah.
And add a bit more of a mental push to it as well.
Yeah. I think it's quite easy on a treadmill. You can kind of just keep pushing the button to make it go faster.
Exactly.
And you're almost like you have to go faster, otherwise you fall off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas outside, you really do have to push to get it. But would you suggest people take their zones from like a 3K test outside and just apply that straight on a treadmill?
Or like in terms of pace?
Yeah.
From a pacing point of view, yes.
Right.
I think you can use those.
Yeah.
From a heart rate point of view, it's a little more difficult.
Yeah.
I think aerobically you can use it because
Yeah.
you can determine where the threshold point was, which is essentially where does it start to feel really hard.
Yeah.
And as long as you keep under that heart rate, we're going to pretty much be working aerobically.
Yeah.
But in terms of using a percentage of max heart rate, then that's going to be a bit more difficult to do.
Yeah.
But from a pace point of view, I think you'd be okay.
Works pretty good. I think there is a bit of disparity as well between treadmills. Like if you've got a brand new treadmill, like the Techno Gym treadmill that we've got here at the gym,
amazing. Yeah,
skill runners, something like that. I should really know what it's called. Skill Mill.
Is that right?
No, that was. I don't know if that's their brand, but yeah, I think like on that treadmill. I mean, that treadmill. We should talk about that quickly. Not because we've arranged something with Techno Gym, but because of the fact that it is. Like, I always used to be quite against running on treadmills. You almost feel like the belt is probably about as thin as a bit of paper, and it's just not really giving much back. But running on that is like running. It's almost like running on a sprung track, isn't it?
It is. It's like being on the beach track here.
Yeah,
actually.
Yeah.
And, although some people knock them, it's like not like being on tarmac, and you kind of just have to lift your leg and the belt will move.
Yeah.
You actually feel like on that you've got such good traction that you are. Like, I've done a few run sessions on it with people.
Yeah.
And putting them through some drills and skills through the gym and then applying it back to the treadmill, they can actually feel what it should feel like running on a road.
Right.
That's the major difference you can see.
I mean, it's super cool the way that it is a belt that goes through it. They should really get the guys on to talk about it a little bit more technically.
That'd be cool, actually, yeah.
But the way that it's made up, it's not one long piece of rubber, as it were, not like a fan belt that we'd know. It's actually made up almost in bars.
Yeah.
Similar to what we've seen on the Woodway treadmills that have come out recently, and on the Curve treadmill.
Yeah, it is exactly.
So a lot different on there. But mate, I mean, what do you think about like when? So should people either? What we've got to is people either reset their heart rate or they move the runs indoors. What if we're trying to get a little bit of both? Like, what if people are like, okay, I can only stand like 40 minutes on a treadmill and then I need to get off. What's your thoughts on that?
Out here?
Yeah.
What's your tolerance to heat?
Yeah.
It comes down to that. If you're not good with heat, then you either need to get up and out early. I'd say probably if you're out past 7:30, 8 o'clock, would you agree?
Yeah.
I mean, it gets. We did a long run a few weeks ago, right? And
it was warm. I
think we were out till about 8:30, wasn't it? And it just steps up another level, like the heat.
Yeah, just after 7 o'clock, it kind of goes a bit crazy, doesn't it?
So, get up earlier and get out. I think there's actually other, like if you run along the beach, I found that to be a lot hotter. Yeah. Whereas if you run up the canal, for some reason it seems to like funnel cold air down. I don't know why that is. I
guess, mate, humidity is normally the highest at the point where the ocean meets the land. That's how the humidity is created. So I guess sometimes at the beach, but I think I agree with you. But I also think in reverse, like you get those some days at the beach where the wind is going in the right direction and you feel not too bad. But yeah, around that water canal's not that bad at all.
Good place.
But is there, like, for example, if people are going out and doing long runs on a weekend, what's the in your mind the cutoff point? Like, why? Okay, it's hot, whatever. Back off the pace. But is there a point where it's almost like negative gains?
Yeah, I think if you're going out and the aim of the session is to stay aerobic, and it's something called cardiac drift. Essentially, if they get past sort of the hour mark, which is where you're more likely to see it, and they're running at like pretty slow, but the heart rate is still way up. Yeah. You need to call it a day, because are you still working aerobically? Yeah. Are you doing more damage than good? Is that session going to put you back a step, and you're not going to have the good week to come? Yeah, like you got to figure it out, and that's where a coach should be looking and monitoring data. Because from an athlete's point of view, it's like this is really annoying. I'm running slow, and my heart rate is flown up. Yeah, but hydration takes into account for that. Yeah, food. I had a conversation with someone this morning. Like, how do you take water with you when you're running?
Naked running band
number one, but you've got to go out. So you're running with water on your back or water around your waist. How does that affect your pace? It's going to slow you down. Right. So you've got to take into account all these factors. And
mate, naked running band, I ran the fastest I've ever run in Corsica. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, they're good. That podcast that we mentioned, we'll jump back to those naked running band in a second, because I think they deserve some airtime, and some little bits and pieces I've picked up recently that I want to share with you guys. If you are looking for that podcast about using heart rate to boost your performance, Andre and I talked about it quite generally, talked about the different zones. That is over on podcast 422. Go check that out. That is all about heart rate. Mate, couple of things. Naked Running Band has just come to the market. There've been a lot of like waste. We have a lot of different hydration packs. It's good to speak about at this time of year because people definitely. I mean, even running trail in Europe, in the UK, for the listeners over there, like they're using these things. But these guys have come to the market with this band that is just. It's completely different to anything we've seen before.
It's almost so simple. You're like, well, how has this not been?
Explain it to everyone, mate.
Well, it's a thick band, or you might call it like a high band. I don't know, like a cummerband, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
like a smart suit,
like
right?
a cummerband, yeah.
But then they've been really clever, so they've put elastic around the bottom and elastic around the top. So, and then it's 2 pieces, and you can fit like, well, they say to have a hydration, like the hydration squeegee pack things.
Yeah.
But the last weekend I put a bottle in.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, an actual bottle, and it was fine.
Did it not swish-wash around a bit?
A little bit, but it's so close tucked into you. So they've made it so elastic that you can pull enough out to get something in, but then it stays close. So you're not worried about your keys flying out or fiddling around with pockets, like trying to get your phone in and out.
Yeah.
And it's really good. I've got to say I found it a bit weird to run with the weight on my hips at the back to start with, but once you get used to it, you're all right.
I think it felt. I ran with mine in Corsica, and it just felt a bit strange for like the first kilometre, and then after that, which it's going to, right? I mean, mate, I'm actually not sure how I describe this. I think you've done a really good job there, because it is literally just like a band around your waist that you can just sort of pull out. It's elastic and chuck stuff in. So it's not like you're balanced either.
There's no clips, so you just step into it and pull it up.
Yeah.
So it's easy to wash. It's super lightweight. That's a key.
Yeah.
Like for me.
Yeah.
You're not fiddling around. You have to order the right waist size.
Yes. But they have on does yours fit you?
I'm not going to put any more weight on. Put it that way.
Really, it's quite tight.
Yeah.
Well,
tight.
They have anyway. That's a different story. They have a pretty comprehensive. They have a very comprehensive, actually, size chart. Like, I think there's something like 20 different size, 20 different size belts available. Good. Like, so it's literally by almost quarter of an inch. Let's just naked.
It's clearly a product that's been made by runners. Like, they're obviously very passionate about it, and they contacted. I put a thing on my story the other week, and they got in touch and like, how was it? We want to know how your run was.
Yeah. They're super cool, actually. I give them a little post because they did something that anyone who works in B2C, like they're feeding the consumer, especially out when it's something that comes in a package. If I order something, you send it in a package and you put a handwritten note in it, I'm a customer of yours for life. And these guys, these guys actually did it.
There's your secret, guys.
Yeah, there's the secret. I actually learnt it quite a few years ago. And actually, if you order from us, we'll do that as well. We put we'll put a handwritten note into your band. The Naked running band, here it is. Guys, if you want to know what we're talking about, hop over nakedsportsinnovations.com, and I just want to check the sizing that they have. They have 12 different sizes, from 28 inch, which is Tom, to I went with a 36 inch. So it's actually done by inch, but they have they're based on sizes.
And how tight does yours feel, mate?
Mate, mine's quite tight.
Yeah,
like, I'm not 36-inch waist.
Do you think it would be uncomfortable when you first put it on?
When I put it on to trial it, like when I put it on when I first got it, I thought I didn't know how it was going to go.
Yes.
And then, actually, the only reason, the only time I wore it was one day in Corsica. We Heidi and Holly met us for lunch. Where on one of the rare occasions where the road actually crossed the trail, and we calculated that we had about 20k left, and Rob's got one as well. Rob had one, and then I was like, I've got to have one of those, and he's like, what do you reckon? Should we use them? Because all the time before, we'd be like maybe 5 or 6 hours before, we wouldn't see the girls during the day. So we had to have it basically enough stuff. So, enough water. I would have about 2 litres of water on me most of the time. Food and a little emergency pack. But like we had 20Ks left. So we're like, screw it, we'll put the Naked running bands on. And mate, it was weird because I used a soft bottle, so the same as the ones that I have in my hydration at the front, which I actually think they're super awesome. The difference, and that's why I asked you about when you're using a plastic bottle, because as soon as you drink from it, it removes the air, so you don't get that. Maybe you can hear that swish swash around.
little trick with those is I just squeeze the air
out, yeah,
and then you're all right.
Yeah, and then it goes in. But mate, I'm going to fight you on this one, because another negative, I actually did it about 2 months ago. I got a large bottle of water. I stopped at 7-Eleven on the canal, super trashed, and I filled up my bladder, and then I put a water bottle into my backpack, and it actually dug a hole in the bottom of my back. So if you're going to use the naked running band, be like Tom if you want and use a plastic bottle.
No, I was just out on a run and I didn't have water.
Oh,
so
you
I
didn't have one, so you bought one.
And then thought, shall I put this?
Shall I put it
I'll try it. But yeah, it was fine.
Anyway, so that worked. But yeah, so I put one 500ml at the back. And then what else did I have in it, mate? I had some food. So, and this is, I want to prove how much you can actually get in this thing.
Oh, you can, yeah.
So on my hip I had, actually I won't lie, I'll tell you exactly what I had in there. It's quite funny. I had a croissant with Nutella and a banana.
Paleo?
Fully paleo croissant.
Paleo.
And I wrapped it up so that it went completely flat. But it sat on my hip, so that went in there. And then I managed to get my phone, obviously, for pictures. I had my GoPro in the front as well. So all of the it's almost split. Is there 3? So there's like one pouch on the front right quarter, one pouch on the front left quarter, and then the whole
2
back
long ones.
Is long.
Yeah, the back's long and the front's long.
Yeah, there we go. So you've got all these different pouches. Had my GoPro in there, and then I had another 500ml soft bottle on the left side as well. So talking about like balance and stuff, there was absolutely no balance, because I'm pretty sure that sort of croissant didn't weigh the same as my 500ml one side. And if you think about it as well, like my phone and then a GoPro as well, and you think they'd jiggle around. The only thing that felt weird at the start was the water bottle at the back.
The water, yeah. But I think the key they've done with the balance is they've got it, I don't know how to describe, but like the height of it. So it conforms to your body a lot better. So they've not packed it out. They've packed it like up.
Yeah. It's quite thick, huh?
So you'd fit your iPhone in like standing up.
Exactly, mate.
That's the key, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So randomly we got onto that, but hydration systems in summer, and I mean, mate, going back to like the distance we had left, like we'd taken 2 500ml bottles each. Actually, because there were streams along the way, I only used one of them, so the one on the back I never even had to get out.
Drinking from a stream?
Yeah,
nice.
All the time, mate. We're always at about 1,500 meters, ice cold water. That's actually why, like most of the time during that run, I only used the 2 500ml bottles on the front. Amazing. I'd only use the bladder at the back, so I'd carry about a litre or a litre and a half at the back. I'd only use that but mate, at some stages every 3K you'd have a big stream, ice cold water, and if it wasn't running and we didn't have to, we'd not fill from it, but otherwise just fill straight from there. Amazing. Hat in, water everywhere. Super good. So folks, if you are running, go back to Tom's acclimatization. See how shows come together? That wasn't even in the show notes. But if you are running in summer, check out this naked running band. And actually, Matt, I was thinking, I don't want to completely sell for these guys. I do not have any affiliation, association, or I don't have a discount code either, sadly. I wish I had. But these things are actually super cheap, even another good reason to buy it. I'll actually use that naked running band I would probably use it for like a marathon. I would stick it on. I'd be tempted to stick a 500ml bottle in there, and then a couple of, if you use gels, or a couple of bars, because you just do not even feel that you're using it.
I think you said to me you could use them in races.
Yeah.
I think they're a bit difficult to put on to use in a fast race. So I wouldn't use it in a triathlon.
Yeah, right.
But they have got a race number feature.
Yeah.
Which is cool. So
I kept my race number on mine.
Trail runners, they have to have this bit of kit.
Yeah, you have to. And mate, talking of trail runners, you can also quite comfortably fit trekking poles, which a lot of trail runners use.
What are those?
Across the back. Mate, I carried mine I think I carried them for 4 days. And then the first 3 days, and then I ditched them. I was like, I'm not using these. And I didn't use them once.
I thought it was a baguette holder.
It could be a baguette holder. Yeah. Or you can pack in your, actually shows a nicely folded up, on the website, it shows a nicely folded up rain jacket there as well. So it's very versatile. But definitely keep the number. It's number 1. I kept my race number on the whole time. Told everyone I was winning the race, and I was number 1. I'd won the race before.
Nice.
And then I don't know what happened to it. I don't know if I had to throw it away when I washed it. But there we go, folks. keep hydrated. Tom's acclimatized. He's got a naked running band. You should have one too as well. Mate, any other geeky bits of kit that you've come across? I think that's useful. We're talking all things endurance, folks. That's why Tom's on the show. Any other geeky bits of kit you've come across that help in endurance recently?
What, in general or in the heat?
Just in general, mate. Anything that you think, any secrets that you've got that people are not into?
I think, we both agree on this. Normally, I think old school is the best, and I've tried bits out. Like one of the best features, like using a good body glide. Yeah, that's number one. Especially out here, you're sweating a lot, and then your skin dries, and then you have salt on the skin, and that chafes. Yeah, like that's not fun. In terms of like running kit, obviously we use those Run Rabbit shorts. Yeah, and I mean that's actually a super good point. I only started using body glide when I got those shorter shorts, the Run Rabbit shorts. Never used it before. And it is absolutely epic. Used it all through Corsica, where on the final day we ran 17 hours, 0 chafe. That's incredible, really.
No, I didn't. Sorry. On the last day, mate, at about 6 in the evening, so we've been going 11 hours, I reapplied it.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's good.
Because we'd gone through a stage where I'd got really, really sweaty again, so really wet shorts, and then I reapplied it. But 11, like the other days, I'd never reapplied it and never got any chafe. So that's a good point. I think like maybe I'm a bit stubborn sometimes, and I'm like, no, it's going to be fine. But running in those, I'd always run in like tights. Yeah. Before running those shorts was absolutely awesome, but saved a little bit by the body glide, and also used the body glide on my back a little bit, like where obviously I'm not running the shirt, where the bag was rubbing a little bit, or where it was going to rub. Didn't get any back chafe at all.
The other, actually, you just, especially with your handwritten note thing, just reminded me. Yeah. The other thing I discovered this last year, because I get really bad feet chafing, blisters, and I use something called Gurney Goo, which is a Kiwi brand. Yeah. And I can't remember where I got it from in the UK, but they sent it to me with a handwritten note saying, we hope this solves your problems. But it prevents chafing, blisters, and what they call pruning, which is where the skin gets really wet and then wrinkles. Okay. And like my feet are awful if I don't use it. Whenever I use it, they're not. That's such a good point, but they're a lot better. So that's a good hack.
Yeah, I saw yesterday was the Lakeland 100, which is a massive race in the Lake District, 100 miles across. It doesn't go. It's quite a weird race. It doesn't go across all the iconic peaks in the Lake District, but it's a 100-mile ultra. And I saw someone's feet at the end of that, and that's all that they were. It was almost like they'd been in the bath too long. Yeah. So it obviously got wet. And actually, when I ran an ultra in Wales, mate.
We let you in? You paid? Yeah.
Too cheap to put directions. I went off Penny Fan in the wrong direction. Only cost me 5k additional on a 90k run. But at the end of that, mate, because we'd been through a lot of bogs and stuff, my feet were really wrinkled, almost like that I'd been in the bath, and actually feels like half of your foot's just going to fall off.
Yeah, it just peels off. Yeah. Well, this forms a layer and stops the water coming in. Yeah. And I'm not sure how it works. Like, your feet still sweat when you have it, so obviously lets it out, but stops it from. It kind of adds a coating around the skin.
You know, Body Glide do one for feet as well.
Right, I didn't know.
So this is actually a good story. Not too much to do with the podcast, but still, I'm sure some of you folks might like it. Where I got sold on Body Glide, I was with Heidi and Rob, and I needed some chafe. I didn't have any. I had some short shorts on, and Heidi said, "Here, you can." Oh, no, Rob had it, and Rob had Heidi's, and I put it on, and I had to send her a message and say, "Sorry, listen, I didn't put your chafe stick all over my nuts this morning. I just put it on inside my legs." And she basically wrote back and she said, "That's okay because it's for feet anyway, and I rub it on my feet most of the time."
So she's technically kicked her in the nuts.
So she's technically kicked me right in the nuts with that one. So yeah, Body Glide do the same one. I wonder if it's the same, or it sounds like a similar thing, mate.
Yeah,
it's funny because she was the first person that I'd ever heard that got like foot chafe, and you're the second within like a very short period of time. But that's the way that, mate. Another one thing, talking about little geeky bits of equipment, one thing that I got into about 18 months ago, which I actually haven't mentioned, name of the brand of the laces I use is Lock Lace, and I now have them in all of my shoes.
Yeah.
Absolutely love them. They're super good. Don't cut them too short though, because otherwise they're too tight and you have no turning back.
I was about to say I have used them. I can't remember the brand that I've been using for my for race shoes, but I used Lock Lace a few years ago and did cut them too tight because I like my shoes to be tight.
Yeah.
And after about half an hour, my foot just went numb. And I couldn't work out why. Yeah. And then I realised at the end, once I took my shoes off, they were so like closed in around the laces. I was like, well, obviously, because you've got a lot of like nerves on the top of your foot.
Yeah.
And so don't do them too tight.
I think that sort of transfers over to a lot of people that do get pain in their feet from wearing trainers for a long time.
Yeah.
It might be something as simple as the tension on your laces is just wrong.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely.
I think that's something that, a lot of people, and it starts, like you said, you've got a lot of nerve endings in the top. It starts on the top of your foot, but it actually can then, I've done it before, and I did it with these laces, it almost transcends the whole foot.
Yes.
And then you're like, oh my God, have I got something, am I getting something worse, like plantar fasciitis or something like that? So if you are getting pain at the bottom of your foot as well, that might be a place to start. Like an easy check is like, how tight are my laces?
Yeah.
And I think you should just be able to walk around in trainers for the whole day and feel super comfortable.
Yeah.
One of the good things actually with the Lock Laces, sometimes I don't even tighten them up. I'll just run with them the way they are because they give a little bit, and it's different if you're going on an uneven surface. But if you're running on the road and you've got shoes that fit nice, they don't actually need to be super tight, in my opinion.
I think it's so individual.
It's quite individual, yeah. But definitely try different things out. Well, there we go. We've hit a little bit of running, hit a little bit of hydration, mate. I guess one of the biggest things that's happening in the world of endurance right now, or has just finished yesterday. The show will go out in 10 days' time, but we can still talk about it. It'll be fish and chip paper by then. But we've just seen the end of something like the 105th Tour de France, won fortunately but unfortunately by a Welsh.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
I think maybe here we're a bit of it out of the bubble of the Tour de France.
Yeah.
But like I've watched as much as I can of the stages, and you have as well. So we've kind of chatted a day to day about it. But I actually think it's been one of the best watches for a while. And I was just thinking earlier, like Geraint Thomas has won it, which is amazing. He's won it by nearly 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's not a clouded win. Like Froome was still in it, Dumoulin was still in it, like all the big names were still there.
I mean, breathing down his throat,
ridden the 3 weeks of his life, and I think that's what makes it even more special. Is no one can say, "Oh, but so and so wasn't there."
Yeah, everyone was there, mate.
Everyone. I mean, Richie Port crashed, but
you
crashed.
I did read that in on the BBC this morning, and it was actually one of the best articles I've read, and that was the only weakness on it. They said, Richie Port was out, and they weren't trying to say, they weren't taking anything away from him, but they did mention those guys, and I thought that doesn't really add anything to this scenario.
They all ride on the same road, right?
Nibali crashed as well, and that's an incredible story in itself. He crashes 3K from the finish, gets up onto his bike, finishes the race, doesn't lose much time, has an X-ray, broken thoracic, out of the race.
It's been a good race for stories like that. The guy on the first day from Cannondale, his name slips my mind now, but he crashed on this first day, his debut of Tour de France.
Wow.
Crashes, breaks his scapula, fractures a rib or something like that.
Wow.
And then he says, right, I'm going to ride every stage now as far as I can, raising money for his local velodrome in Texas that got taken out by a hurricane.
Wow.
And he finished it yesterday.
Really?
Yeah.
So he also went through, for the first time in a number of years, folks that don't know cycling will explain it. Folks that do will understand the cobbles on the Paris-Roubaix. They rode a number of sections of that. It's probably one of the most brutal bike races. It's almost, if I can put it for those that don't know cycling, it's like doing a flat mountain bike race that's on cobbles but on a racing bike. Remembering the racing bike's tyres are pumped to around 100, whereas a mountain bike you'd be down at about 40. They're 25 mils wide, whereas a mountain bike you'd be almost at 2 inches wide. A mountain bike would have shock. So these bikes are super, super rigid, and it's absolutely brutal. You have a look, just Google Paris-Roubaix if you don't know what I'm talking about. So this guy rides with a broken scapula
I've got to find his name
and broken ribs on those cobbles. But yeah, back to your original point, mate. Geraint Thomas has won the race. Chris Froome, 4-time champion. Tom Dumoulin, world time trial champion. And also Giro winner.
He won the Giro last year.
And then you've got absolutely everyone there. Nairo Quintana, one of the greats of the sport as well.
When he decides to show up, which he did on one of the stages. He did on time trial stage.
Yeah. But I think that's all. Nairo's got left him. He needs to be careful about the new Colombian on the scene from the Sky team.
Wow, yeah.
21 years old.
21. Yeah. Egan Bernal.
Yeah.
Sat on the front in control the whole time.
Incredible.
Yeah.
It's been an absolutely unbelievable race, but for those that don't know too much about the Tour de France, just give us a one-stop to try and paint the picture of what the enormity of what these guys have just done over the last 3 weeks.
In my opinion, it is like the hardest endurance event out there. I don't know what the total count now is, but I think this year 175 started, 145 finished, and these guys, it's their job to ride their bike.
Yeah.
And it's got everything. Like, it's got sprint stages, it's got mountain stages, there's time trials, there's team time trials. So even if you're not a big fan of cycling, there's certain days you want to pick out and watch. And I think once you start watching those certain days, like, you might want to watch one of the short stages to begin with. You'll hear the commentators talking about what they've done previously, and you start to build this picture of what these guys go through. Yeah, and it is just mad. Imagine you cycle, 160 to 200 Ks every day at a pace that people wouldn't even be able to hold on for 20 minutes. Yeah. You then finish, you get on a bus, you sit on a bus for 3 hours to go to your next hotel, which is a different room than you slept in last night. Yeah. You then wake up, different breakfast again. Hope they've all got their nutritionist now, so it's kind of been as much similar as possible. Yeah. And then you have to get back on your bike and ride for another 5-6 hours and just repeat for 3 weeks, non-stop.
And they have 2 rest days.
2 rest days, which they'll still ride on.
Yeah. That's one of the best things about it. Like, what did you do on your rest day? Oh, we just rode 4 hours today. Yeah. Like, it's
cafe stop or whatever.
Coffee ride, and then they spend a lot of time in the hotels with media attention. Like, obviously the big teams like Sky, which Geraint Thomas rides for, they'd have like a big press conference on that day off. So absolutely draining on pretty much every level. And I mean, some of those days, mate, they're you say like 150k, but that could be a mountainous stage where there's 4 or 5 decent climbs up to 2,000, 2,200 meters. The weather this year wasn't too bad, but that often
it looked pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty good the whole time, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
But I remember a lot of tours gone by where obviously at the top it's freezing cold. They're putting jackets on. In the older days, they were putting newspapers down the front. You probably didn't watch it then; you were a little bit young. Yeah. But it's absolute, like, all of the elements. And I think one of the things that you said there, mate, they'll finish at like 5 in the evening, and then the start the next day could be 2 or 3 hours away on the bus. So they'll hop on a team bus. I think the riders go through it tough, but I also think the support crew. Yeah. Like, I was thinking, because this year, and this is a little bit geeky, guys, but they use a different bike for 2 stages. They had a team time trial and an individual time trial. So they need another bike for that.
And a Roubaix bike.
Yeah. So a stronger bike for the Roubaix stage. So the mechanics and the logistics behind this thing must be absolutely insane.
Unreal.
How many bikes would each rider have, mate?
I think they have a spare of each bike.
Right.
So, but like people like Thomas and Froome will probably have 3 of, like,
wow.
They wouldn't have 3 time trial bikes. They'd have 2 probably, but then they'd have like 3 road, 2 probably for the Roubaix. Wow. Depends also on how many the manufacturer build as well. So like the Trek team probably have a Damani, a Madone, and maybe an Amonda for climbing. I'm not sure. Probably depends. But then the wheel sets, like if you haven't seen on the GCN YouTube channel, like watching through their truck tours and stuff like that is amazing. So cool. And all the mechanics, like, it's so ordered. If you're like a neat freak, you'd love to watch it.
If you've not been into the Tour de France and you're not really into cycling, it is something. I even managed to get Holly into it.
Yeah,
mate, she loves it. She loves watching it. Yeah. I mean, mate, I watch it for 3 weeks every night. And I think that's one of the tricks, like you said, start with a smaller stage or try and catch like the last 50k. I think that's always quite good. And even on a flat stage, you're going to see a sprint, and in the mountains, you're normally going to see a decent climb within the last 50k. And obviously, on some of the more iconic mountains, you see a mountain top finish as well.
Yeah,
mate. One of the biggest things in the news this year was that, and people would have seen this, that Chris Froome was on a number of charges from different angles, really, and a big case against him for doping. His case was then dropped, but he's only come third. What's your thoughts about Chris Froome right now?
I personally think he's handled the whole thing amazingly well.
Yeah.
Like, being under scrutiny that much, like, I think he's a pretty clean, like... I think that would have really hurt him to have that name against him. I'm not saying he didn't do it. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can have your opinion.
Yeah.
My opinion is they're pushing the boundaries of what you're allowed to do within medical reason, right?
So politically correct.
But then
they're on drugs, mate.
Yeah, they're on drugs.
They're all on drugs.
You then have he's a 4-time winner.
Yeah.
And he essentially had to watch Geraint, who has sat in front of him for the past 6 or 7 tours, and before that he rode for Bradley Wiggins. This guy has dragged him through tour after tour after tour, and it's always been Froome has stepped out at the end in yellow and has taken the glory for it, and he's always looked quite humble in that sense. But I think you really see someone's humility once someone else is doing
I
better,
mean,
if not as well, and I think he's literally stood back and just clapped and said, the better man has won.
Yeah, I think, mate, I was very... So, guys, if you don't really understand in cycling, basically each team has one rider that all the other riders work for, and at all costs they will work for him to try and get him to win. In this case, in the Sky team, Froome was the guy that was going to win, and one of his support riders ended up winning, which normally in the past we've seen creates all sorts of issues between the team, fallouts, like big time fallouts. And as you watched it last night on the Champs-Elysees when they crossed the line together, I couldn't see Froome's eyes, but it actually looked, the body language looked like he was genuinely happy that Geraint had won.
Yeah, it looks, it really does. And I think it's no bad thing against Froome. Like, how much does he... I think he cycles for the love of the sport.
Yeah.
And how can you not love a bloke who... He came second to last in 2007.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
And, now he's just won it. Like, how can you not be happy? It gives me, goosebumps to say what he's done. And whether, because he's Welsh or whatever, but a story like that...
main negative,
If you've got any bad word to say about it, you need to check
yourself. He also rode for 2 weeks, 1 year with a broken pelvis.
On the wrong bike on Tour of Australia, Tour Down Under. He got given the wrong bike, didn't realise for 2 weeks.
So he's smart as well. But that's one of the... I agree with you, mate. That's one of the greatest endurance events that there is. So, folks, if you didn't check in with the Tour de France, catch it next year. And, of course, if you are interested in that sort of race, multi-stage race, not that you're going to enter it, but there is the Giro... there is the Vuelta coming up, towards the end of August, which is the Tour of Spain.
Yeah.
So one of the other...
Just want to shout out to the guy, Lawrence Craddock, is the guy from Cannondale.
Right.
And what he said was he'll donate $100 on every stage he finishes, and he expects people to sort of back him up and donate what they can. More. And he has ridden for 3 weeks with a broken scapula and something else, which, mate, you can relate to a little bit.
I don't really want to... When I got back on the turbo, I'd been out of hospital a week, and I got back on the turbo, and actually trying to get in a seated position was too painful.
So, yeah.
But, so he's done incredibly well, especially over those cobbles. Mate, we're hacking through it. What else endurance have we got to speak about for this show?
Yeah, so we are doing a little challenge this weekend.
Yeah.
I got this as a calendar invite.
Yeah, well, how else would you want to get it? I want it to be official.
Marcus Smith invites you to Desert Crossing, I think was the name of the challenge.
Yeah.
And so, what are we doing, mate?
Mate, so this is similar. Unfortunately, we'll have finished this by the time this podcast airs, but the concept, actually, this idea was born out of last time I was down there, I was running across Wahiba Desert, which is about between 150 to 160 kilometers, and when we were running, we obviously had a lot of time. It took us 3 days to run across it. 10 to 12 hours running a day, or trekking, hiking. Use the poles then.
Use the poles?
Yeah. It was brutal, mate. Jeez. You'll see. Might bring some poles for your bike.
Stabilizers.
And we're like, I wonder if this would be possible on fat bikes. And I was actually with Jack. He was running with me. And yeah, it started a whole conversation around it. And then, so the date's locked in. And this Thursday, we're going to go down and ride across it. Obviously, it started off by like, how many kilometers can you do a day on these bikes? And so we actually went and hired some of these bikes about 16 months ago and found out that you could, because we're arguing about it when we were running. No, it's a bike. You can do like 20 k's an hour. You'd be across this thing in like less than 10 hours. Yeah. And we went and hired these bikes and realized that the average speed was about 10 k's an hour. Yeah. So it's slightly different, mate. But I think one of the best things, we're going to try and do this non-stop. And we've picked, obviously, a weekend in August. So lots of different factors coming into play. Your acclimatization that you've spoken so fondly of at the start of the show.
Got no problem.
Definitely comes into it. And 4 of us, Jack, yourself, myself, and another guy from the InnerFight Endurance team, Giorgio. So, mate, I guess that's really all I've... I mean, a lot of people have asked us how we prepared. Not really.
Not at all.
As far as, and I think that's one thing that's quite interesting, mate. I think some events need some specific preparation. We might come undone at some stages, but I think when you maintain a certain level of fitness and conditioning in endurance sports, be it biking or running, then transferring those skills. These bikes are a bit different, but obviously your fitness level for your biking is pretty high, and I've ridden my bike a fair amount this year, so hopefully that will carry us through as well.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I've been asked a little bit over the time of being here, because obviously the second day I was here, we did the 50-50-50 challenge, and people are saying like, oh, what did you prepare? How did you prepare for that?
Yeah.
And what was your training like? And I did that on pure half Ironman training.
Right.
And this is what I'm trying to get through to people. Plug my own class here, S&C for endurance, is once you've got good fundamentals of running, and you can drill the right fundamentals, it's just a case of like you're building your engine. Yeah. And so, like you say, like fitness level is quite high. Okay, we're on different bikes. We're going to be on fat bikes. Yeah. So the handling might change a little bit, but essentially you've got to keep pedaling, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it comes back to most challenges. It's going to be down to mindset. Yeah. We're riding through the night. Yeah. Hopefully we're going to get this done in under 24 hours. We can. People listen to this next week will know.
The target is 16 hours, mate.
Yeah, 16 hours. Yeah. You've done a lot of night challenges. Yeah. I haven't. Yeah. I've done a few, but nothing like you have. Yeah. You must have an idea in your head at the difficult points are going to be. Yeah, I guess the objective or the target start time based on sort of organising things when we get down there is between like 7 to 9 p.m. I think you're pretty good for the first till my dark hours on night challenges is from anywhere around 1:30 to 2 a.m. till about 4 a.m. Now that doesn't sound very long. You've got 2-hour window, but it's pitch black. At that stage, we'll have been going from 9. It'll be incredibly hot. So that's when you sort of, and then an hour or an hour and a half before sunrise is actually one of the best times, because there's something, it sounds quite strange, but the way that you look forward to a sunrise or to light after you've been in darkness for so long is actually, it's wild, like how much motivation it brings. And I've run quite a few ultras that have gone through the night, and when you see the sun rising, the endorphins, the adrenaline, and the motivation just sort of jacks up. So, yeah, I'm interested to see how it goes. I'm interested to see how the bikes react on the sand. Obviously, the sand's different down there, but definitely that sort of time. Saying that and trying to think back to the 50-50-50 challenge that we did, I didn't really have that problem at that time. Where were we at that time? Oh, we're back on the bikes. Oh, it was horrific. I don't know what you're saying.
Yeah.
We got on the bikes. Was it one?
Yeah, just 1:30, 2 o'clock. Yeah, but that's when we got.
We had a fresh boat of people come along, and it kind of lifted us. Yeah, and like you say, we left the track at. What time did we leave Al-Qudra? We waited for about 2-3 hours for everyone to finish.
I think we left about 6:30 in the morning.
And we only had about a couple of hours sleep and we were back up again, and it was like, oh, you're all right.
Yeah, you feel all right.
So like you say, the sunrise helps.
It does help, but I think your point is great, mate, is that there doesn't... A lot of events require and deserve the respect of specific training. And, you know, these events challenge you in a different way. Like, are you at threshold the whole way through the challenge on the weekend? No. Is there points where maybe you are going to be? Yes. Are you going to feel like you're there? Maybe yes. But once you've got a solid base, you can kind of go out and do whatever you want. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I'm seeing, definitely, and I know we're focusing a lot on endurance sports, that's why it's good to do this show, is people will go from, they'll train, this is the Ironman, or this is the half Ironman, or this is the marathon, and they don't know what's next.
Yeah.
So the motivation to start again, or to get, like people will always call it, back into training, is really low. And they'll go through these lulls. So actually, they train so hard, they'll do a 10-week, 12-week, 16-week, even longer, dial into an event, build some great fitness, have the race, feel awesome, and then somehow give themselves time off.
Yeah, and lose all their fitness.
And lose all of that base that they've built.
Yeah. I actually, a client was speaking to me yesterday, and he's saying, it might be a bit too soon to think about this, but I want to do something next year. Can we talk about next year? Yeah. And I love to hear that, because I know for a fact they're going to stay motivated. Yeah. And you buy into your off-season a lot more. Yeah. So even if it's a month or maybe a month and a half, you're like, okay, next year I've got this to look forward to, so I'm gonna take an actual month. I might not be off, but cross train or do something different, learn to do another sport for a bit, and then you pick back up. Whereas a lot of people go into an off season and they get comfortable with not having to wake up early, and they don't think, this is nice that I don't have to be out this early. And I think
that's one of the things, mate. It's not that you have to be, like, if that 16-week training block, for example, was super hard and had you, like, on the limit, and that's fine and it got you there. It's not that the month after has to be exactly the same training. No. But I just see too many people doing nothing. Like, and I always say to people, like, you know, you don't need me as a coach for a month after your event. I want you to go. All I want you to do is commit to me what you're going to do.
Yes.
If it's 3 rock climbing sessions, if it's 3 kayaking sessions, if it's 5 CrossFit sessions a week, I want you to commit to me that you're going to do that. You don't have to pay me to coach you. Just go and do it, and let me know each week that you've done it. Because otherwise, the opposite is that you sit on the couch.
Yeah, and you get comfortable with that.
And and you lose everything. And that's why, you know, we speak a lot in the coaches meeting earlier about plateaus and about motivation and stuff. Like, you should never feel like you're in a plateau, because everything's almost in a controlled state. You don't have to be like Ironman or 70.3 fit 365 days of the year. You can't be.
No, you can't.
Right. But what you do have to have is a certain level of fitness and a good mindset to go with it, and then your training or getting back into training or getting ready for an event is going to be infinitely easier.
Yeah. What's your thoughts, mate, when people take off? Because I thought about this a lot last week, because I was on a rest/recovery week.
Yeah.
And I couldn't have got to that point quick enough. I was so looking forward to it, and I was like, this is what you should feel like going into a rest or recovery week.
Yeah.
When people don't put all into their training, and then you say to them, right, you need to have a bit of a deload week, a bit of a rest week, and they go, oh no, I don't like the sound of that.
Yeah.
Do you think people should train that you need to have one, and like your body's telling you, I need to have one?
Yeah.
And if they go into their off season thinking, oh, I still need to do something, I still need to carry on training, do you think, well, maybe you should have pushed a bit harder?
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree, mate. I think that there's a couple of different dimensions to it. One is actually having measurable metrics.
Yeah.
So I had a really interesting conversation with a client the other day, who I've had for just over a month now, and she asked me, when is deload? And she said, listen, I'm good, I'm enjoying the training, when is deload? And I said to her, I'll look, like, it's a running program, I'm going to look how your body's reacting. If your body's reacting super well, we do heart rate variability, heart rate every morning, weekly metrics, how you feeling, how's training going, any body pains, whatever. If all of your biofeedback is positive, then around the 6-week mark, I'm going to give your body a rest. I'm going to turn down she's training for a marathon, I'm going to turn down a little bit the volume. Otherwise, is it set in structure that's at 6 weeks? No. if you're not absolutely spent, sometimes as a coach, like to preempt that fatigue.
Yeah.
But if you're getting feedback that's like, if you say to a client, like, all your biomarkers are good, but I think it's a good time to do this, and they're like, yeah, that makes sense, gives me my body a rest, gives my mind a rest, then it's the right thing.
Yeah.
If they agree 100% with you, if they're turning around and going, oh, I don't feel I need one, well, either I've read your biofeedback wrong, or you haven't trained as hard as you could have done. It's difficult to, like, as a coach, that where we're looking at online coaching and we're looking at data, at hard data, whether it's power in cycling with heart rate or heart rate from running, like, we pretty much know how hard clients are going.
Yeah.
But I think that I really think those biomarkers, the bio sort of feedback that we're getting on a weekly basis, that we're getting on a daily basis with heart rate variability, that's telling us. But agree 200%, mate, that if you do have a planned rest week, and I really think it or a deload week, I think it brings more focus to the training when you're training.
Yes.
So you're able to be in that situation, and you're like, you know, this is another huge conversation we have, is like, if it says like all in, that you're actually all in,
yeah,
and that you're not finding yourself going at the end of the session, oh, I could have gone harder if I could, like, there isn't an if.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key thing. So, but I think it comes as an athlete develops, and I also think it comes as a relationship of a coach and an athlete develops.
100%.
Like, some people will say, and you know, we had a chat before about a running program that we're launching. Like, we can't write now a 14-week or a 12-week running program, especially if we're doing it for what people are paying us for, like an individualized program. You go online, you can buy one. It'll be $50.
Yeah.
But what we're doing as coaches is we're giving you a week at a time, and that's honestly, I think, one of the best ways to coach. Like, it was awful when I went to Corsica, and I knew I'd be sort of off things for 2 weeks. I had to program for people 2 weeks in advance.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh,
if this goes wrong.
Yeah, like,
you say it's the best way. I think it's the only way to coach, really, to be a good coach. So I've been asked, top of my head, about 3 companies have asked me to write programs.
Yeah.
And you know, over 10, 12 weeks.
Yeah.
And I sit down to write them.
Yeah.
And I end up just putting the pen down and walking away, because I'm like, you just can't. There's so many variables.
Yeah.
And I think I did one. I actually got it all written out. It was like a base fitness program. I was like, if you're gonna give enough, like, breadth of room to play with, it's going to be on a sort of base fitness program, right?
Yeah.
Keep intensity low.
Yeah.
Do a lot.
Yeah.
And I tried to then think about how I can sell this, and I was like, yeah, I feel like I'm just doing people a disservice.
You're doing a disservice
completely.
It's the same. I got another question, mate. We should wrap up in a minute, but this is another good one based on the same thing. You go online, and that's what this person had done. They've gone online and learned about progressive running programs, and there's a general sort of guideline of the amount of volume increase you should give an athlete on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
And this person had found like 10% increase.
Yeah, the 10% rule.
10% rule. And, you know, they asked me, and very openly, because they want to learn, and I'm super happy to answer these questions. I think it's really important that people understand. And it's like, my response was, if it was you, Tom, you're you. I don't know if you can handle 10%. You might not be able to handle 5%. And if we go back to a running program, the simple thought is if you're running now at 45 minutes and you're not running well, your heart rate data is not good, your videos, your performance is not good, technically you're not good, I can see from your biofeedback your recovery is not good, then even if the week says 10% increase to next week, or the month says 10% increase to next month, am I going to give it to you?
Yeah.
Not a chance. If I'm training you for a marathon program and I send you out for a 60-minute run, you pull up real good. Awesome. Zone 2, 60 minutes, no problem. It says in Training Peaks, enjoyed that, coach, thanks a lot. Next week I'll chuck in an hour 15.
Yeah.
If you enjoy it, great. This is going... So I can faster get you, and suddenly we're at 2 hours, but you only started the program a month ago.
Yeah.
Because I've just identified how your body is. I've asked you how you've slept. I've asked you how you feel. We've taken all of that feedback, and we're able to build that program. Yeah. So 10% is a great guide, but you could only be able to buffer 5%, or you could already be at 2 hours. But I've just met you. So then, you know, and I think that really, and it's a great sell as we close out the show. It's a great sell for having a coach, but And if you're not getting that from a coach, if your coach is not asking you for that feedback and not able to analyze that data and work with you and just turn around on, like, a lot of the time in Training Peaks, I'll just write after people's workouts, how did this feel?
Yeah.
Like, huge.
It's massive. That sort of, I get every athlete, and they probably find me quite annoying with it. I'll write on their workouts before they get a chance to, and I'll say, how is this? Because I want them to finish, log their workout, and then write me exactly how they feel once they've just finished. Yeah. Not tomorrow when they think back or whatever.
That's one of the keys.
So, that is absolutely key. And if, like you say, if you might finish and think, that was really hard, next week I've got to do 10% more.
Yeah.
And then a few days down the line, you're thinking, I feel all right, actually.
Yeah.
And then you think, 10% is not enough.
Yeah.
A coach can go one step further and say, your heart rate was this, now you feel like this, that's because of that. So let's increase you by this. Exactly, yeah.
It's quite funny, though, isn't it? What you said, I was just thinking, mate, like, the difference in, like, feedback 30 seconds or 5 seconds after a workout's finished. We could actually do quite a good study here. We could go, like, within the first 30 seconds after the workout, how did you feel?
Yeah.
1 hour later, how did you feel? 1 day later, how do you... Because it's like... And the typical thing that I see, and maybe this is a lot from CrossFit, but it's like, worst workout ever.
Yep.
30 minutes later, still want to die. An hour later, I was actually pretty good at that. A day later, I've told everyone. A week later, I'm going to PR it by... I'm going to take 20% off it next week.
When do event companies send out all their signed backup emails?
As soon as the event's finished.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Mate, we've got through quite a lot there. Andre will be very upset with me. That's one of our longest shows. 55 minutes of endurance chit-chat. Folks, Tom will be back next month. We're going to try and get him on monthly, talking all things endurance. I know Andre's got 1 or 2 questions that he wants to ask you. Endurance application and carryover into his main arena, which is CrossFit, his main focus, which is CrossFit. So that's going to
have a good series coming out.
That's going to be, super interesting. I know you guys are working a lot on that, but that is a lot about endurance, guys. I hope you enjoyed the show today. If you do have questions for Tom, winning@innerfight.com. Hop over to the InnerFight Endurance Instagram as well, where he does a tips on Tuesday and a live Q&A or a big Q&A over on Instagram TV on a Wednesday. 10 minutes of answering questions, and if you do have any questions related to endurance, just go hop over and we'll get you back, mate. We'll talk all about the challenge in Wahiba, and we'll talk about a few different things that we've got in the pipeline when it comes to endurance.
Perfect.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers.